A good day to you all. We are going to look at the grade 10, November 2025, English paper 1, comprehension, language, and summary. Right, when we come to our instructions, we always advise learners to rehearse them as much as they can so that they can be able to practically write them and follow them in the exam. Our question paper has 3 sections. We have a comprehension, we have a summary, we have language structures and conventions. We are supposed to read all the instructions carefully. We must answer all the questions. We must start each section on a new page. We have to rule off after each section. We must number the answers correctly according to the numbering system used in this question paper. We must leave a line after each answer and pay special attention to spelling and sentence construction. Our suggested time allocation that we are given is that we spend roughly 50 minutes on section A, 30 minutes on section B, and 40 minutes on section C. We have to write neatly and legibly. Right, when we look at what we are given now, which is the trends of paper 1, I'll call it the trends of paper 1 today, we are being given relevant content. These are things that affect us now, and as a result, I believe we are approaching Black Friday very soon, towards the month of November. So as a result, it became a relevant topic because it is going to touch on us very soon. What is the meaning to a candidate of relevant topics? It means that it's something that you are aware of and you know, and as a result, you must now identify yourself with the comprehension so that it can make sense to you, and you will be able now not to have the fear of saying, I don't know what I'm going to write about and I don't know how I'm going to answer. I really encourage learners to really try and understand the comprehension as much as they can and not separate themselves from it, because we separate ourselves from the comprehension, it means we're going to struggle as much as possible when it comes to questions where, especially in the grade 10 question paper, where we have to use our own experience, our own understanding, and therefore it means that that is where we get the marks. Now, when we're coming to text A, the title was Why Black Friday? And I believe there was a visual, a small visual that says Black Friday sale. I need us to make sure that we become comfortable. Space for rent, it says, in the middle. So as a result, we have tens as well there. Right, when we're coming to this comprehension, what we're going to do is to read. We always encourage learners, please read the comprehension 3 times. Remember, you have to skim. When you skim, it means you will be able to get the general idea of what the comprehension is about. The general idea is the one that calms you down of saying, oh, this is what I'm going to be dealing with today. But now, remember, when we are usually skimming through the comprehension, we are at a very fast pace because we're still at the panicking stage of saying, I'm starting the comprehension, I'm writing paper 1, it's a language paper. And as a result, it means that we have not settled into the reading part. Therefore, the skimming is when you finally decrease your heart rate and you are able to settle and say, I'm getting comfortable with the comprehension. Now you have to read it for the second time, which is the scanning process. The scanning process will be slower than the skimming. Why? Because that is where now you digest more information. It means you'll know where you pass something and exactly where something in particular was talked about, and therefore it means that you will be able to recall. Finally, we recommend reading for understanding, which is for you to actually infer information that is not directly stated, but you know that when they talked about this, they meant this. When we say reading for understanding, it means you put the whole comprehension together, not only on a literal level, but at a figurative level as well. And as such, if you put the comprehension together literally and the inferring of what it means finally you have understood. So it's very important that the only time you can be able to use the literal understanding is when you have understood the comprehension. The tone will come out to you to say, when he says it this way, he is so sarcastic, he is so malicious, he is angry, and you heard it as you were reading for the third time. Learners, let's not take shortcuts. Let's try and do things right, because remember, grade 10 is the foundation to grade 11 and 12. And as a result, it means all the skills must be put in place in grade 10. And that's why we'll recommend that please do the right thing. Do all the procedures. You are given enough time anyway. The person who sets the paper is given you a time allocation of 2 hours. Don't think you'll do it in an hour. It's because they know very well that a learner has to do 1, 2, and 3 and do it this way, and therefore it will take 2 hours. We respect the time allocation. It means that we'll be able to do all the procedures, and therefore it means we will seal in everything that we need. Let's go to today's comprehension and see. Hopefully the advice will be used, guys, because this is where we advise you and you are able to put it into practicality as you are preparing for the future examinations. Black Friday was the term given to the day after Thanksgiving in the 1950s in Philadelphia in the USA. Originally, it was a term which was used by the police to describe the chaotic and congested conditions caused by the influx of tourists and shoppers for the post-Thanksgiving shopping rush. You may have witnessed this for yourself if you have ever ventured to the shops on Black Friday and the annual Army versus Navy football match. Retailers later adopted the term, associating it with the day when businesses could finally move into the black, meaning that they were operating at a profit after being in the red for most of the year. Black Friday was adopted in South Africa in around 2014. The online retailer Takealot played a pioneering role in introducing this concept. Black Friday was first introduced to online trading, but it gained popularity when physical stores adopted the idea. The day has since become a major shopping event in South Africa, a day in which retailers are said to offer significant discounts. However, some less naive members of the public have reinvented the idea on Black Friday and have humorously called it Buy Nothing Day. These survey consumers have realized that the best way to save money during Black Friday is to buy nothing. And if you simply must buy something, then buy green. A growing wave of consumers are now boycotting the day, which is associated with reckless spending and buying, and buying needless items. Buy Nothing Day is a backlash against rampant consumerism and wastage. Black Friday is being boycotted in favor of it becoming a day which is centered on charity, expressing gratitude, and sharing your good fortune with those in need. Globally, the anti-Black Friday movement is growing, driven by a more responsible attitude and a more ethical approach to consumerism. The movement encourages shoppers to buy second-hand goods and re-dye or repurpose clothes rather than buying new ones. Retailers are also encouraged to shut their stores for the day and focus on charities. In 2017, The Guardian revealed that one diesel truck left an American filling center every 93 seconds in order to keep up with the demands on Black Friday. Black Friday does not only negatively affect the planet, but also the workers who produce, package, and deliver the goods. The demands of Black Friday place these workers under immense pressure at this time of year because they are required to work long hours in order to meet unrealistic targets. Last year, workers in more than 30 countries announced that they would strike due to the pressure put on them during the build-up to Black Friday. Buy Nothing Day has become a day of protest against exploitation, and it is being recognized the world over. It is a 24-hour period in which people pledge to refrain from buying anything, aiming to raise awareness regarding the negative environmental, social, and political consequences of irresponsible consumerism. Those who participate in the protest say that they use this day-to-day challenge the typical Black Friday shopping frenzy. They use this day, my apologies. Those who participate in the protest say that they use this day to challenge the typical Black Friday shopping frenzy and to promote more mindful and responsible use of the world's resources. But beyond the boycott, the movement encourages reflection on purchasing habits and the potential for more sustainable alternatives. The idea is to create more responsible consumers in the long term, far beyond just one day. Right. When we're coming in, this is adapted from an article in Mail and Guardian by Anton. All right, let's go to our questions and see what we're given and what we're expecting. Text B, my apologies, maybe they should call it in the Red Friday. That's our visual text, and as such, that's the only thing we were given for text B. All right, let's go to the questions. Right. Text A, we are supposed to refer to text A, and as a result, refer to paragraph 1. It says, explain briefly in your own words where term Black Friday originated. I believe I'm going to talk about the questions before I begin. Please bear with me. I'm going to share the skill for comprehension answering and saying exactly how you must be able to identify what is going to give you marks and what will not be giving you marks at all. When we come into comprehension passage, please know the order of questions come in 3 ways. I'm going to write it somewhere here so that we are able to identify these things. Right. When we come into comprehension, please understand, we have what we call lower order questions. Lower order questions are basically the ones that start the comprehension. What do we mean? We mean they are easy to tackle. And as a result, we always encourage learners, do not miss any marks in the lower order. Why? Because they have the instruction verbs that are easy to get through. Explain in your own words. I believe we can get through that. And 1.1 is definitely a lower order. Explain the term online trading, the tone you just had to select between the options. And as a result, when we are coming in, I believe our lower order questions were ending with 1.5. So it means that when we came into today's comprehension, how many marks is this? I believe you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I believe 7, 8, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You had 8 questions that were free lower order questions. And as a result, please do not lose anything there. You lose anything, it means you are going to get bigger problems because you'll start struggling. Why? When we're starting from 1.6, I believe it gets a little bit trickier, and we call those the medium order questions. We call them MO, standing for medium order. Medium order means that it will require a little bit of more analyzing and understanding, and as a result, it means that you must be very sure of inferring information. But now when we come into the higher order questions, I believe you had your 1.10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and I believe the final one, which could be 115, we call them the higher order questions. Higher order questions are a little bit difficult, and as a result, it means that they will need a bigger skill, and therefore it means getting marks from there will really have to take all your effort. So what do we say? Get many marks in the lower order, so that when you get to the medium order and the higher order, you will not have to struggle to say, I really will not get any marks. And therefore, that's what I wanted to recommend to you as we are beginning. Right. When we are coming into paragraph 1, it says, explain briefly in your own words where the term Black Friday originated. The key word is in your own words. And as a result, it means you could not be talking about a term given to the day after Thanksgiving in Philadelphia Describe the chaotic and congested conditions caused by the influx of tourists and shoppers. It means you have to change to your own words. So now when we're coming in, I believe you could not use the words that were given in the passage. Because in the passage, they said Black Friday was the term given to the day after Thanksgiving. So I believe one of the things is we are going to change into our own words and say, shopping that was done the day after Thanksgiving, was termed what is this one, Black Friday. So you're changing into your own words. I believe it was 2 marks. That was the first mark. The second mark was coming from chaotic and congested conditions. I believe one of the things is you could have talked about you had to be clear to say overcrowded, not even crowded. I believe we'll be talking of when the streets were overcrowded. And one of the things is due to the increase in tourists and shoppers. You have changed to your own words. So as a result, when we are coming in, I believe the first one I said the day after Thanksgiving, that was that. And I believe it will be the shopping day after Thanksgiving. It was our own words, and therefore it means you had to change to any 2 points, and that's why now it will be in your own words. So let's try and understand that was the key phrase there. Briefly in your own words is what they said in just 2 points, which gives you 2 marks and you're done. We move on. I believe it's in 1.2. It said it referred to paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 says, Black Friday was adopted in South Africa in around 2014. The online retailer Takealot played a pioneering role in introducing this concept. Black Friday was first introduced to online trading, but it gained popularity when physical stores adopted the idea. The day has since become a major shopping event in South Africa, a day in which retailers are said to offer significant discounts. Our question says, explain the term online trading. So it said Black Friday was first introduced to online trading, but it gained popularity. So when we are talking of online trading, I believe we are very clear. Our answer is coming from trading. So it will be the selling and buying of goods through the internet. Without physically going to the shop. Because it was 2 marks. So as a result, we had to just be clear there. Online is our key. Internet is what we're talking about. The tone of the last line of this paragraph expresses, and I believe the last line of paragraph 3 said, a day in which retailers are said, I believe that's where our tone is coming from, to offer significant discounts. Our options were 1, amazement, 2, doubt, 3, C, sarcasm, and I believe D will be disbelief. When he said said, we definitely are going to talk about doubtful. So our answer will become a B, because he says said, which means that's what he hears, and therefore he does not have the guarantee that it is so, and therefore it becomes a B. Right, paragraph 4, it says, comment on the point that the writer makes when he states that the best way to save money on Black Friday is to buy nothing. I believe in paragraph 4, he says, these survey consumers have realized that the best way to save money during Black Friday is to buy nothing. So now our question says you have to comment, which means you have to give your own suggestions of why you will be saying the best way to save money on Black Friday is to buy nothing. So which means it's your own opinion, and you are stating now what you feel he meant about that point when he says it's the best way. I believe my key area is the best way means that it's an advice. We're going to start there. It's advice or a suggestion, I believe, will be correct. That not shopping on Black Friday is the best option. I believe now we have to give validation of what we mean. What do we mean? He believes it is a trap. As the deal offered is not worth it. Right. 2 marks. So as a result, people must avoid going to the shops. People must not buy anything because they will be falling to the trap of being promised certain deals and goods. But it is better than spending money to save money, as he says. So they would rather save than spend. Save money. So that's what we mean by that comment. Let's go to 1.5. The reference to green at the end of this paragraph, because he says, if you simple must buy something, then buy green. All right. When we're coming in, it says option A, to be new and fresh. B, to be lacking experience. C, to be environmentally friendly. D, to be green in color. I believe our answer is to be environmentally friendly because that's what green is. So when we go green, we become environmentally friendly. All right, let's go to 1.6. Outline the point that the consumers are making by boycotting Black Friday. It was a 3-mark allocation, and I believe that's where we're starting the media model questions. And as such, let's see what is to outline. I believe you have to state and then you have to comment as well. So you are stating the point that the consumers are making when they boycott Black Friday. So as a result, one of the things is to create awareness. One of them is to create awareness to consumers about what they purchase. About what they purchase on Black Friday. We can also talk about the issue that when talking about this, they must now be considerate and be considerate how. I believe the go green was the issue that we are talking about. Reckless spending, buying needless items, wastage, charity, and considerate how they spend their money. And I believe something else that he mentioned was Black Friday encourages buying goods for the sake of buying. That's the only thing that they are doing. They're just buying for the sake of it, and therefore it means there isn't any need for them to buy. So that will be our outlining the main point that he is making in 1.7. And when we're coming into 1.7, the question says, the writer suggests that people should repurpose their clothing. Outline one way in which this could be done. Right. When we're talking of repurpose their clothing, I believe we are talking about charity. Charity works. It was supposed to be suggestion. Outline one way. So it means you had to now understand what this word means. And I believe charity, giving to charity will be one, and which means giving to the less fortunate in society. Another thing is what is being done in our families. I believe we are repurposing when it's passed on to the younger sibling. To the younger sibling, that's repurposing without fail. So another thing is to, I believe, we have people who are redesigning things, and as a result, they will do something out of what they have. If it was a dress, they now change it and it becomes a beautiful skirt, a fashion item of some sort, and therefore it becomes a fashionable redesigning concept. So any of these were applicable. Black Friday has a negative effect on factory workers. Discuss to what extent you agree with this statement based on the information given in this paragraph. On paragraph 9, it says Black Friday does not only negatively affect the planet, but also the workers who produce, package, and deliver the goods. The demands of Black Friday place these workers under immense pressure at this time of the year because they are required to work long hours in order to meet unrealistic targets. Last year, workers in more than 30 countries announced that they would strike due to the pressure put on them during the build up to Black Friday. Right. So when we're coming in and saying, discuss to what extent you agree, it means you have to have an opinion and therefore substantiate it with what is being given in that paragraph. For example, I believe I agree to a large extent that it does negatively affect factory workers. Why? Um, the pressure. One of them I think I will build up to is the pressure, the work pressure, pressure of the workload. I believe that's a proper grammar. Pressure of the workload is what will really be our discussion. We are talking about the issue that they are given a limited time to produce a large number of goods so that they can meet the Black Friday target. And as a result, it means longer hours. And I believe it will also be fatigue, exhaustion, any of those. So as a result, the negative effect is now based on the demands of the work and also on the physical toil that they will really have to bear. And I believe it is unfair. Why? It means they are now taken as just what is this one? Production tools, and therefore it means their consideration of them being human beings, having families. uh, it means they will go extra time and they will get less time home or get home late. And I believe it means that that is unfair on the workers to be put under such conditions. So I agree with that. To a large extent, it does, which brings so much physical toil on them. And as a result, it means it really lessens the humanitarian side of them being physical people or human beings. Give a definition of the word exploitation. I believe when we're talking about exploitation in paragraph 10, it says it has become a day of protest against exploitation and it is being recognized the world over. I believe one of the things is unfair treatment. Unfair treatment of person. for selfish gain. That's what we mean when they have to work long hours, and it means that becomes exploitation, because for selfish reasons of the company getting more goods and produce more goods so that they can get money, it means they exploit their workers. Based on your own knowledge, I believe we're moving on to the next one. Based on your own knowledge, comment on the suggestion that there is a need for more responsible use of the world's resources. All right. Comment on the suggestion that there is a need for a more responsible use of the world's resources. When we're coming into this one, we are going to talk about the issue of we are talking about irresponsibility of human beings when it comes to natural resources as well. And when we're coming in and say world's resources are being utilized irresponsibly, we are saying people need to be aware of the consequences. I believe in this one. I mean, on my own, I will talk about consequences of man-made procedures and ways of doing things. So as such, we are coming in and talking about we need to be aware. Self-awareness is what I'll call it, I believe. Self-awareness of what our actions are doing to the natural resources or to Mother Earth as such. So that's why it's very important that we must know as human beings that selfishness is always going to have an impact on Mother Nature. I believe it's selfishness. So those are the things that I would expect you to talk about and to discuss. Based on the passage as a whole, state to what extent you will be willing to take up the challenge of buy nothing day. Be specific in your reasoning. All right. I believe it says to what extent. If you are a consumer, would you be shopping on Black Friday, or are you going to be the self-aware one to say spending is worse, is worse, and therefore it's rather better to save and not buy anything at all on Black Friday? And it says be specific in your reasoning. I believe one of the things I would say is that due to the economic turbulence that we are going through, I will take up the challenge of buy nothing day, because it means that I am able to make a reasonable and mature decision of knowing that Black Friday is just a trap that they have put for us as consumers so that we can just spend and they can get the profit that they lost during the red season from beginning of the year. And as such, I will be saving for myself and be able to utilize it wisely and go green, as we said. So as a result, it means it will be responsible buying when necessary and to buy what is necessary than to buy under the pressure of saying because it is a Black Friday. So that will be my reasoning based on the whole passage as a whole. Let's go to text B. With reference to the text, explain what it means to be in the red. I believe we are very clear on this one. In debt, owing, those are the things that we expect. So as a result, it means people are using money that is credit. They don't have it. And as a result, they keep accumulating the debts and owing. So it was one mark anyway. Identify the big ticket purchase in the women's trolley. That is our text B. And I believe it says the biggest one will be Let's go and look at it closely. I thought there was a middle box. That was the big one. I need to be sure before this one. It's definitely a TV, right? It's a television. We don't write TV, remember? So we have to write in full. So it means it will be a television. A television, definitely. Mm, it's a television. 1.14 says, account for the woman's thoughts in this cartoon. Maybe they should call it In the Red Friday. I believe one of the reasons why she would think this way is that looking at a cut, she has overspent. So if she has overspent, it means that she is in debt now. And as a result, she fell for the Black Friday trap due to the pressure. Right. To what extent does text B illustrate the points the writer makes in text A regarding responsible consumerism? One of the things is, remember when we're answering this question, yes, it says questions text A and text B, but we need to be very clear that this question falls under text B. So as a result, when we are saying questions from text B, it means that our answer is going to start with text B and we move back to text A. That's the formula that we must align to when coming into this issue. And as such, that's what we're going to do. Right, let's start with text B and understand the question. It says, to what extent does text B illustrate the points that the writer makes in text A regarding responsible consumerism? Be specific in your reasoning. All right. One of the things we should start off with is text B. Responsible consumerism, they say. So it means we're saying in text B, the woman seems to have spent more than she could afford by buying large, expensive items without considering her budget. This is supported by text A. Let's be sure of the paragraph. I'm going to be very clear by text A paragraph. Let's be very clear. I believe I remember it somewhere. Right, paragraph 12, it's the last one. Paragraph 12 said, but beyond the boycott, the movement encourages reflection on purchasing habits and the potential for more sustainable alternatives. The idea is to create more responsible consumers in the long term. Which paragraph 12, which talks of the need for responsible consumers. beyond 1 day. Therefore, the lady has not displayed responsible consumerism or displayed qualities of being a responsible consumer. Right. It's a 3-mark allocation. 1 mark is coming from your text B. 2nd mark is coming from your text A. And therefore, your 3rd mark is to bring everything together and find the common denominator or the common thing between the two that you have chosen. And that brings you to your 3 marks. It's always a 3-mark allocation, and I believe we've been singing about it for the whole year to say, please get it right and know the formula of answering these questions. We have come to the total section A, and we're going to go to section B. Right, summarizing in your own words, the article text C offers tips for surviving Black Friday. It says, summarize the tips on how to shop wisely and stay safe on Black Friday. Right. Your summary should include 7 points and must not exceed 90 words. You must write your summary in a fluent paragraph. We are not foul, guys. So what you do in file, please don't do it in home language, because in file, I believe you use bullets, you use the numbering system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But in home language, we have to write a fluent paragraph. You are not required to include a title for the summary. Indicate the word count at the end of your summary. Let's go and see what became relevant for us. Our question said, summarize the tips on how to shop wisely and stay safe on Black Friday. That's the only thing we need to get from the passage, so everything else will be irrelevant. Black Friday Survival Guide. Black Friday is just around the corner, and with it comes the chaos of in-store shopping. So how do you navigate the sales? It says, avoid impulse buying and make the most of your shopping experience. So as a result, tips, I believe our question say tips of how to buy wisely, right? Summarize the tips on how to shop wisely and stay safe on Black Friday. Okay, with it comes the chaos of in-store shopping. All right. I believe avoid impulse buying and make the most. So how do you navigate the sales? Avoid impulse buying and make the most of your shopping experience. And then we continue. I don't see any tips there. I'm not seeing the tip. So I'm going to move, I believe, and see what the other paragraphs have in store for us. How to stay safe. Black Friday really took off in 2018, and by 2020 it had become Black November as retailers spread discounts throughout the month. When it comes to spending on Black Friday, it is easy to get swept up in all the allure of discounted prices. But responsible shoppers know that having a plan and considering the necessity of major purchases can prevent unnecessary financial strain. I believe that is where I am. I believe that's number 1 for me. Impulse buying is Black Friday's biggest trap. It is not uncommon. That's a tip, I believe. It is a tip. It is not uncommon for shoppers to walk away with items which they never intended to purchase, often because they fell for the too good to miss deals. So I believe that's part of our number 2. It's an explanation. A solid plan and a commitment to staying true to that plan will save you from getting into debt. How to shop wisely and stay safe. So as a result, so I believe this is number 3. Start your plan by making a list of items which you genuinely need. particularly big ticket purchases. Research prices beforehand. I believe that's our number 4, if we are not mistaken. All right. And then it says, scammers know that Black Friday shoppers are often rushed and distracted, which makes this perfect time to prey on the desire for a good deal. I believe that's a tip, so it will be number 5. It is probably best to stick with trusted retailers and secure websites. So that's our number 5. Let's go to number 6. The best advice then will be to consider your purchases carefully, and think about whether they will be useful and if they are even necessary. That's our number 6, without fail. It is often the case that after careful consideration, a decision is made to rather save the money towards your everyday necessities. I believe that's just additional information for our point. If you do venture onto the shopping platforms on Black Friday, then it is best to keep your emotions in check. All right. I believe that's our advice towards that's our number 7, I believe. We are emotional beings, so we convince ourselves that we deserve to spoil ourselves, but what we really owe ourselves is financial peace of mind by spending our hard-earned money wisely. Correct. So take a moment for introspection before venturing out into the chaos of Black Friday. All right, so those were our 7 points, and I believe that's what we needed to do. Please remember, verbatim is not allowed. So please don't quote word for word. We call it verbatim. It's not allowed. Please use synonyms as much as possible. And as a result, you can even change 1 or 2 a phrase or 1 or 2 words there, or change a phrase. It can work. So it will help you achieve in your own words as much as possible. Please write your word count at the end of the summary as given as the instruction, and as such it means it must be a fluent paragraph. And I always recommend learners that can you please just use connectors. It will be fluent because you will talk of furthermore. Just put it in the middle there to state that you are still continuing. And lastly or finally, so it will help you in the long run. Additionally, so please make sure you just put some fluency in your writing, and therefore you'll have achieved the summary. And as such, let's go to section C. Right, section C, I believe, is coming in, and it's an advertisement. All right, macro, big on life, it says. Black Friday, 5 days of explosive deals. Doors open Wednesday, 22 November. My apologies. And I believe there are several items that they listed there as part of the deals, the Black Friday deals. And that's what we are seeing. All right. Fridge. I'm seeing a fridge, a TV, a laptop, and all those things. It's exclusive to the macro card member benefits, 10% M rewards, early access from 7 a.m. All right. Free click and collect at store, free delivery to macro pickup lockers, 70 Rand for any delivery. This was a loaded advertisement. And a lot of information for the first time. I believe you really had a lot of options of what to answer and say. Identify the purpose of this advertisement. All right. I believe when I'm talking of purpose all the time, it must be in a verb form. I always say give a verb as saying what does the advertisement aim at doing. And I believe one of the things is to enlighten their customers. Macro is wishing to enlighten, create an awareness. to customers of the deals, of their deals, or of their Black Friday deals. So it was 1 mark. So as a result, any could have been appropriate, but it must be able to tell us exactly the function. What does it do? So I always encourage learners to say, think verb form, so that you can be able to be on point to say it educates, enlightens, creates an awareness, criticizes, or whatever. When it's purpose, just make sure you don't go wrong by giving a verb. Write the abbreviation WED in full. I believe I saw it at the top there. Can we be sure before I make those open? Wednesday. Okay, so it's Wednesday. It will be Wednesday. Wednesday. Is that how we spell it? Right. Let's go to 3.3. 3.3 says, what part of speech is the word explosive? The only way you can know the actual part of speech, learners have a mistake of always identifying it in isolation like this. Please don't do that. You only can get its part of speech from the way it's used. It says 5 days of explosive deals. 5 days of explosive deals, which means we are saying that it is definitely an adjective. It is definitely an adjective. What type of deals? They're explosive. So it is giving a description to the type of deal. So which means we are saying it is an adjective. All right. Explain why the words in store and online will be appealing to the target market. All right. All right. I believe in store and online, it means these are options. People can buy in store. People can buy online. So it means that gives them options. Either going to the store, physically to the store, or ordering online. So which means both are applicable. Identify and explain one technique which the advertiser uses to convince, our keyword. What was convincing the reader of the special deals which are on offer? I believe one of the things is the percentage. I saw something about a percentage. Let me just go back quickly and be very sure. I think I saw 10% rewards, save 4,000 rand. It's 8,000, but you'll save 4,000 rand. Okay, and all those things. I believe one of the things that we're going to mention will be the statistics of the savings. Amount reduced, is in bold letters, right? So as a result, I believe that was one. There was another bold letters was another, what is this one? Technique. And as a result, you just had to discuss one of them in able to, because it says identify and explain one, but I've given you two techniques, which means you just needed one. When it's in bold, it means what does it do? Attracts the reader immediately. I believe the statistics are going to give the consumer an impression that they've saved a large amount of money. If something is originally 8,000, but it goes to 4,000, it means there's a large saving that is being implied. The keyword is implied. Explain why the word free is an example of persuasive language, it says. When it says free, I believe one of the things that it does, what was the free on? Let's be very clear before we generalize. Free delivery to macro pickup lockers. Okay. I believe it. What is this one? It will draw people to actually use that service because they won't have to spend anything. I believe what it does, I think it's action. It can also create a desire in the customers to buy items that are part of the delivery package, so as to get the free delivery. The free delivery service. So I felt action, it can spur them to action. It can create a desire in them to buy the items that are offered for the free delivery because it will not be charged for. And as a result, it means it will be at a free cost, means they don't have to use their money for transport or anything. All right, we go to question 4, which is our cartoon. Still on Black Friday, it says, all right, study the cartoon, text E and text F, then answer the questions which follow. All right, just a minute. All right. Black Friday sale, and we give thanks for being first in line. Okay. All right. It says, identify the setting of this cartoon. Okay. I believe when we are coming in, this will be the shop, right? And these ones are outside, right? All right. First in line. So which means it is outside a shop or a store. That has not opened yet for Black Friday. Yes, people are waiting for it to open for Black Friday. They are saying they're in a queue. Explain the irony in the words of the man seated at the table. I believe when you say Thanksgiving for being the first in line, the irony would be he is the man is showing gratitude for being given the chance to be the first in line. I believe he'll be the first one to spend money. But it may not be a wise financial move for him. All right. He's giving thanks for being the first in line at the shop. He'll be the first one to spend money, but it may not be wise. It may not be beneficial as well to him, knowing that it will not be a value for his money. Text F, he had 2 cartoons this year. Very nice. You know, when you think about, my apologies, when you think about it, our lives are pretty nice. A lot of kids don't have as good of a home life as we do. We really can't complain, it says. I've got a good home, it says. And a best friend. What more could a tiger want? Happy Thanksgiving. All right. Rewrite the words of the boy in frame 1 in more formal English. All right, let's see what frame 1 says. You know, when you think about it, our lives are pretty nice. When you think about pretty nice is unsuitable because we have to now write it in proper English. Okay, our lives are pretty nice. I believe we have options here. One option that we can use is a pleasant. I'm thinking of how we can express lives, how we can express how life is. All right. All right, let's start with pleasant. I believe we'll start there. Right. 1, we can say pleasant. All right, let's write here on the side. You know, when you think about it, our lives are pleasant, really pleasant. Really pleasant. All right. I believe somewhat lovely also sounds correct. Somewhat enjoyable or really enjoyable is also applicable. Great, I believe, is also appropriate. Really great. So as a result, it would also apply there. All right, let's go on to, I believe it's 4.4. Write the contraction in frame 2 out in full. There were 2 contractions. I believe when we were reading, I saw 2 contractions. So it was 1 mark, I believe. So it's either one of those. So which means it could be cannot. And remember, there is no spacing for it, but there is spacing for do not. So I don't know which one you wrote, but it's do not, but cannot is a 1 word. So be very sure about that one. You just needed 1. It was 1 mark. Either or was what we are saying. Outline to what extent the tiger's facial expression and body language conveys feelings towards the boy. Automatically, I would believe this was for frame 3 because question 1 was based on frame 1. Question 2 was based on frame 2. 4.3 was frame 1, 4.4 was frame 2, 4.6 was frame 4. So I believe this was in reference to frame 3. And it says, if there's facial expression, we don't have a choice. I believe it's a big smile. I'm describing. You have to describe first out all the time what you see. Wide eyes. And I believe body language was pat on the head. Pat on the boy's head. And therefore, what are we talking about? What did the big smile indicate? I believe he's very content. He is content with their relationship. And I believe the pat on the boy's head was showing affection. So I believe our answer said his feelings towards the boy. So I believe he's very affectionate of the boy, loving as well. If you felt that way, it would also be applicable anyway, because we do that to people that we value and that we love, just as your parent will pat you on your head to show their emotion of love and affection. With reference to the cartoon as a whole, account for the boy's tears in frame 4. But I believe it's tears of joy after he has been told that he is valued. So it will be tears of joy and gratitude for having a special friend. Right. Okay, that was our question 4. We are finally moving on to question 5. Read text G, which contains deliberate errors, and answer the questions which follow. Thanksgiving in the SA, it says, South Africa does not have an official Thanksgiving holiday because this is a uniquely North American tradition which roots in the harvest festivals and historical events of the USA and Canada. Thanksgiving is deeply embedded in the past history and culture of these countries and commemorates their colonial past. These historical experiences and cultural practices are not shared by South Africans. Therefore, a direct adoption of Thanksgiving is not relevant. South Africa has its own set of national holidays which commemorates significant events and figures in its history. Despite not being an official holiday in South Africa, many citizens are incorporating the idea of Thanksgiving into their lives simply as a way to connect with family and friends and a desire to express gratitude. And of course, to enjoy good food and fellowship. My apologies. South Africans too have a deep-seated heritage and cultural practices which they can be proud of. On 24 September, the people of South Africa observe Heritage Day, a day in which they show their appreciation for their country's diverse cultures and a spirit of togetherness is encouraged. So, forget the turkey, let's pray. All right. Let's go to 5.1. We struggle a lot. Yes, grade 10s. We struggle a lot with language editing. And I believe the key area is this is a practice paper. Paper 1 is a practice paper, guys. Let's adopt and get used to practicing. If you have been practicing this, it means you are able to know on instant what an antonym is, types of sentences, and as a result, it's the same thing over and over. So let's get used to making it a daily norm that we edit ourselves regularly so that it can be easy to spot these things a mile away. Give an antonym for the word uniquely in paragraph 1, it says. And I believe in paragraph 1, it says South Africa does not have an official Thanksgiving holiday because this is a uniquely North American tradition. Oh, it's an antonym. Commonly, it was in the adverb form, so your answer must be the same. So this is a commonly North American tradition. Ordinarily. As a result, I hope you gave it in the right form. Identify the type of sentence used at the end of paragraph 2. These historical experiences and cultural practices are not shared by South Africans. Therefore, we have a coordinating conjunction. A direct adoption of Thanksgiving is not relevant. That's not a phrase. That's a proper clause. So, right, these historical experiences and cultural practices are not shared by South Africans. Therefore, a direct adoption. I believe it's a complex sentence. It is a complex sentence. Remove the redundancy in paragraph 2, it says, Thanksgiving is deeply embedded in the past history and culture of these countries and commemorates their colonial past. These historical experiences and cultural practices are not shared by South Africans. Therefore, a direct adoption of Thanksgiving is not relevant. Definitely not deeply embedded. Oh, it's past history. Past and history are the same thing. So which means one need to come out. Correct the punctuation. So redundancy was past and history. Correct the punctuation error in paragraph 3. South Africa has its own set of national holidays which commemorate significant events and figures in its history, which means we had to remove the apostrophe, it had to come out. So which means it becomes it's without the apostrophe. All right, we move on to 5.5. Explain the term deep-seated in paragraph 5. South Africans too have a deep-seated heritage and cultural practices which they can be proud of. It says explain. Okay, it wasn't a synonym, so we just had to explain the term. I believe it will be deep-seated means part of and holds value or has a meaning. I believe that's what we mean. It has a meaning to them. A meaning to them. And holds value, not hold. Okay. What part of speech are the underlined words in paragraph 5? And I believe it says, which observe, South Africa observe Heritage Day. It is a proper noun. If you say noun, no. You have to be specific today. Sorry, guys. Identify and correct the spelling error in paragraph 5. Okay. Oh, it's practices. Oh, there it is. It's supposed to be a C, not an S. And I believe we are now in 5.8. Let's go to 5.8. Explain the use of the dash in paragraph 6. Let's look at it again to be sure. In paragraph 6, they said, so forget the turkey, let's braai. Forget the turkey, and then they moved on to the braai. So which means it's separated. It was separation this time. It wasn't additional information. Guess it, yeah, it's separated. The statement. From the explanation. Writes the following statement in the passive voice. Many South Africans celebrate Heritage Day on 24 September. I believe many South Africans is our subject. Heritage Day is our object. So when we're doing passive voice, we are starting with the object. So it will be Heritage Day is celebrated by many South Africans on 24 September. The key word to passive and active voice is subjects and objects. If you know your subject, if you know your object, you will not struggle with this one. It could also have been Heritage Day, I believe, is celebrated on 24 September, on 24 September by many South Africans. So there were two ways there that were applicable. All right, we got to write the following statement in reported speech. It was a 1 mark. That surprises me. But all the same, let's see. Oh, it's a short one. Nelson Mandela said, I am proud to be a South African citizen. So as a result, it was very short. I believe that's why it will come in and just have that. All right. So as a result, let's finish it. Nelson Mandela's, it's in reported speech. Right, yes, it's reported. Nelson Mandela said that. Remember, we have to report. So our reporting verb is said that. He, I, changes and it becomes he. Am goes to the past tense. He was. proud to be a South African citizen. Remember, 3 things change: tenses, pronouns, reporting verb must happen. Also, I believe I'll add on and say quotation marks go off, removed. Then it becomes reported speech. This is our paper 1. Demanding sections: 30 marks for comprehension, 10 marks for the summary, 30 marks for the language editing. And as a result, for you to do justice in the examination, it must come from somewhere, and it means it must come from the practicing that you do on a daily basis. There is no difference between maths and English, boys and girls, so let's adopt and try to practice English as much as possible. We have come to the end of our discussion of our November 2025 Grade 10 English Home Language Paper 1. A good day to you all.